Hello, magnificent eardrums. It's Thursday, 16th of April, 2020, and we do warmly welcome you to the Voicing the World Late Night Noisecast, Episode 8. Once again, doing what we can and what we must to ensure feasts of reason, flows of soul, and stolen moments of good times in the time of Corona. On the show tonight, we're bringing adventures in sound from Grammy-nominated and Brit Award-winning folk singer-songwriter Laura Marling, from walking Greek encyclopedia of jazz saxophonist and composer Vasilis Xenopoulos, and from the sublime composer, orchestrator, and BBC Radio 2 Big Band Arranger of the Year, Philip Steele. I begin tonight's episode, as I find myself doing every Thursday then, with lockdown extensions of gratitude for all of your wonderful feedback and interactions across the interweb, emails, text messages, the bookface, and such. It is now day 34 of isolation and lockdown here in the Voicing the World bunker, and with so much great music as ever to swing our merry way through, I move swiftly tonight to our first Super Circle candidate of the evening. In this case, the supreme singer-songwriter Laura Marling. Her work makes its way into my Super Circle via her bassist. On this record and more, that unsurpassed purveyor of low-pitch resonating goods, Nick Pini, about whom more later, after we hear Laura's single from the new record, Song for Our Daughter. This is Held Down.
Up, it was 4 in the morning, clear as all hell that you'd already gone. But you know it's said, dear, you know I hate to disappear, but the days are short and the nights are getting long. And I just meant to tell you that I don't want to let you down. You wrong. Think about now with my legs wrapped around you. How many times before have you seen me run? It's a cruel kind of twist that you'd leave like this. Just drop my wrist and say, well, that's us done. You down. but the days are short and the nights are getting long. And I just mean to tell you that I don't want to be let down. Get lost in the crowd, seen unseen. Say what you mean.
Laura Marling there, with a superb single from her new record, Song for Our Daughter, Held Down. Her world-beating music has been broadcasting through my brain pan ever since I was first introduced to her by her aforementioned bassist, Nick Pini. Nick and I extend our overt awareness of each other's musical and personal ramblings all the way back to 2011, when the wonderful singer-pianist Angeli Perrin invited me to sit in on a gig at the Archduke, which itself sits opposite the Royal Festival Hall in London. Nick was on bass that windswept Sunday afternoon, and a joyous bond of insurmountable loyalty formed between us. From genre-defying daredevilry through jazz to abandoned Cold War airbase enforced improvisation and spaghetti western Tex-Mex Americana blues, I have benefited enormously over some 9 years now from the good grace, acute intelligence, and unfailing support Nick has offered me during peacetime, as well as so substantively during those times of most need. As Laura Marling, Ethan Johns, Tom Jones, Neil Young, and all those lucky enough to benefit from working with him know, his solidity as the baseline engine room of any track on which he performs is matched only by his solidity as the very deepest of friends. Links to Laura Marling's track below, folks, and please, as ever, make your enjoyment count. So, what's going on? Well, Monday this week saw more than my usual share of online noises, in the form of a return to the closing night of the Andra Tutto Bene online music festival, as innovated by last week's guest, Mr. Ricardo Pez, a performance of the Welsh national anthem for Sarah Evans' initiative Sing for Wales, as heard on BBC Radio Wales and elsewhere, and, of course, a rather gripping instalment of the American Chronicle, in which super political circler Dr. James D. Boyes elaborated on those elements within the US Constitution that may prevent Donald Trump from simply cancelling the November presidential election without consequence. For more on that story, do make your way after this broadcast to the American Chronicle, Episode 4, as available from this YouTube channel, Michael L. Roberts 360. Such shameless promotion might, of course, seem out of kilter, even to myself, as I give myself a note to mention it. However, I have been enjoying a somewhat ceaseless stream of vintage radio broadcasts out of 1960s Los Angeles during this lockdown time, an interest sparked in no small part by the latest Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The Voicing the World bunker now finds itself waking daily to the worn, disc-jockeyed sounds of the real Don Steele on 93 KHJ, Boss Radio, and so forth. And I think the ceaseless program promotions therein are starting to seep in. As we continue to reflect through this time on all that came before, I'm finding it increasingly important to establish that which is worth preserving and returning to once we're out of this less than desirable quagmire. I'm frequently reminded at the moment of a Tennyson line from Ulysses, "Though much is taken, much abides," and am continuously attempting to ensure that that which continues to abide is indeed worthy of abidance. This show's Super Circle explorations provide me with the weekly opportunity to ensure that I shout from the bunker all the praises I can muster for those who have had such an artistic impact upon me, and those who I most hope to reconnect with creatively at the earliest globally possible convenience. Our second artist tonight qualifies in said categories. I take you now into the proverbial bowels of my recollection of a night at the Ram Jam Jazz Club in Kingston upon Thames, I believe somewhere around October 2008. Late great member of the Dankworth Seven and a keystone innovator in jazz education, Eddie Harvey, had booked me to sing, even though the night was billed as the two tenors, meaning in this instance tenor saxophones. One of those tenor saxophonists, Greek god of the reed and the wind, Vasilis Xenopoulos. Vasilis was very well established on the scene at this point, and I myself was somewhat fledgling and out to prove a thing or two. Within 8 bars of what would become one of our signature tunes together, the Stanley Turrentine number Sugar, we were locked into each other's noise boxes, and thereafter swiftly followed many years of gigs, festivals, records, and hilarities. A track from his new record, Dexterity, now then, which focuses on the musical workings of tenor legend Dexter Gordon. Here is the Vasilis Xenopoulos Band with Montmartre. Vasilis Xenopoulos there, with Ross Stanley on piano, Dario De Lecce on bass, Steve Brown on drums, who you heard on last week's record from Anita Wardell, and Quentin Collins on trumpet, who also featured 2 weeks ago with his own Road Warrior record on this very show. We jazz folk do get around, you know, or at least we used to. Links below once again, folks. You know what to do by now. And speaking of getting around, I mentioned the Andra Tutto Bene festival performance at the top of this show, and during that performance I focused on some of my musical heroes coming up as a Valleys boy with a penchant for all things United Statesian in the music and arts department. Therein on Monday night I gave a brief mention to one Brian Jobson, a pianist, singer and entertainer who worked the hotel and club circuit in Tenby, South Wales, back in the 80s, a circuit I frequented from the grand old age of 5 years old, keen as I was during family holidays there to get my gig experience underway. What I didn't get to mention on Monday was that Brian, as a jazz and boogie-woogie aficionado, took me under his wing and, over the best part of 13 years, ensured that I left each summer with a pile of sheet music and transcriptions under my arm. As is so often the case in times of crisis, losing obliges us to find. And, thanks to a serendipitous email exchange with Dasha Schenkman, who I gave a shout-out to some episodes back on this very platform, my memory of an old Pembrokeshire landline phone number was jogged, after far too many years out of touch. Brian Jobson answered, and over an hour's conversation, we revived the pride of former days, rounding the call out with a vow that the first one of us to get a post-corona gig must invite the other one to join the party. Brian's inspiration led me to Leeds College of Music, which was then the only undergraduate degree jazz course in the UK, or at least the only one I'd heard of in the valleys of South Wales. Within days of arriving in Leeds, serendipity was once again on my side, as I found myself living opposite a future titan of the noise-making world, composer, pianist, award-winning arranger, and Don of all worth saving and reviving from the archives of yesteryear, Philip Steele. I no doubt found her once more tonight, on the rocks of adjective shortage, perhaps, when attempting to express the influence this preposterously gifted man has brought to bear upon my life. So I give you instead a silly story. For my final vocal performance at Music College, a breezy breakfast affair that involved the majority of us remaining awake from the day before with the help of Jack Daniel to conclude our academic duties, Philip was music arranger and drummer for the band. After the performance, a day of celebration ensued and was rounded out with a game of football in a small garden at around 1:30 a.m., very much in the dark. The patio doors, of the firm sliding glass variety, were very much shut. My head, in enthusiastic ball-focused chase, very much hit them. My subsequently limp body became outstretched across the patio and was tended to quickly by Philip Steele, armed only with our exercise bike and the attached heart rate monitor thereupon. In streams of laughter from all in attendance, Philip attached the monitor clip to my left ear, pronouncing promptly, "I'm afraid we've lost him." With his glorious Eulogy in green, we round out tonight's show with composer and orchestrator Philip Steele and the Cambridge University Chamber Orchestra under the direction of William Cole. I'm Michael L. Roberts. Be sure, as ever, to make your enjoyment of these incredible artists count via the links below. I shall see you Monday for the American Chronicle. Good luck, and ever onward to you all.
Thank